Today's review, we will be looking at In the Company of Men from Neil LaBute, a movie that is disturbing and controversial and a brilliant black comedy. In the Company of Men stars Aaron Eckhart in what I wholeheartedly believe to be his best film and his best performance. I know that he's best known for playing Harvey Dent in The Dark Knight from 2008, but yeah, The Dark Knight I find to be extremely overrated, while In the Company of Men is very lesser known. It was sometime before Aaron Eckhart really became a household name, and frankly, I find him in the Company of Men to be at the very top. There's really no beating him in this. He did some other good films like Thank You for Smoking, which was a good film, but In the Company of Men to me remains his very best. He's so complex, and he's one of the most evil, most vile characters you'll ever see in a film. And Eckhart plays him in such a way where, yeah, you hate him, but at the same time, you're just drawn so close into him, which is what's so awesome about it. Something that I like about In the Company of Men is, yeah, it's so obscure, so forgotten, but the fact that I actually own it on DVD, I special ordered it off of Amazon. I feel like it's a little secret that I want to share with the world. So that's what I'm doing right now. Nobody ever talks about it, so I should. So the movie is about two businessmen a few years after graduating from university. Their names are Chad and Howard, played by Aaron Eckhart and Matt Malloy, respectively. They're both really sick and tired of women, like, always getting the upper hand on them. What I mean by that is they just they feel like men are like below women, kind of, and they want to really regain their alpha power, so to speak. So what Chad decides to do, because Chad is so evil and it's just such a bad person, he gets Howard, who's very easygoing, even though Howard has had just about as many women troubles as Chad. Howard's more easygoing, but Chad's able to get Howard to play a little game together. They're going on this business trip for 6 weeks, and what Chad proposes is for them to romance the most vulnerable woman that they possibly can. A girl who maybe suffers from depression, or someone that has very low self-esteem, someone that's just on the brink, someone who's so vulnerable. Romance her for a little bit, get both of them to date her, and then at the very last minute, they pull the rug out from underneath her, and they revealed that they actually hated her the whole time, and that they were just using her. And then she reaches for the bottles. Those are Chad's exact words. And they will look back at that until they're very old men and just laugh at that. Now that sounds pretty crazy, right? It sounds pretty sadistic. But, that's Chad for you. And Howard is just shocked at that proposition. He's just like, whoa. But, they both have some women problems, and so Howard eventually ends up going along with it. So while they're on the trip, they meet this typist, who's super duper fast, and her name is what's her name? Christine, played by Stacey Edwards. That's her name. Yeah, I haven't seen Stacey Edwards in anything else, but she's really good in this. She plays a deaf typist. Boom! She's the perfect person in Chad and Howard's game. She's a beautiful woman, but being deaf, it's that just makes her such a good target for both of them. Having a disability that big, that severe, it's just wild. So both Chad and Howard go on some dates with her. The cool thing about, and the interesting thing about Christine is, even though she's deaf, she can read lips, and that's pretty cool stuff. Because sometimes when you look at just the lips themselves, so many different things seem to look the same. So the fact that she's able to figure different things out, it is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's pretty admirable. So both Chad and Howard are dating her for a while, and all Chad really wants is to destroy her, really succeed at this vile game. But after some time together, Howard actually falls for her. Now, this is not one of those typical Hollywood Cary Grant kind of things where both men end up falling for her despite her disability. Nope, Chad is so hell-bent on destroying and ruining this woman's life. And Howard is actually falling for her. But at the same time, Christine is more in love with Chad than Howard is of her. Wow. And so yeah, the Chad doesn't really change a whole lot. We learned some more things about him that just really add fuel to the fire. And it's ultimately Howard who's the one that pays the ultimate price afterwards for going along with his friend. Yeah, In the Company of Men, it is rated R, and apparently one of the reasons why it's rated R, like by the MPAA, is because of emotional violence. That's the first time I've actually ever heard there's like strong violence and brutal violence and stuff, but it's the first time I've ever seen the term emotional violence slapped onto film's rating. Well, there's a lot of that going on in this. The way that they manipulate her, especially Chad, and it is a pretty sad film, despite being a dark comedy. That's ultimately what the whole point of a dark comedy is. It's to really make the viewer uncomfortable, and really, like, you don't know whether to laugh or cry throughout the whole thing. I mean, like, it's easy to hate Chad. In fact, I remember seeing this one, hearing Aaron Eckhart in this one podcast talking about In the Company of Men. And apparently he was at it was like the first week that opened out back in 1997. And he was there at the screening, and he left, and some lady walked up to him, slapped him across the face, and said, "I hate you." And so then Eckhart tried to reassure her, "No, it's not me that you hate, it's my character Chad that you hate." Then she says, "No, I hate you." He did that good of a job in this. And now, Aaron Eckhart, his performance in this is so good. Just as this really mean, vile, I know that you use that term a lot, vile, but that's really the best term for him. But at the same time, he's one of those heavily charismatic pretty boys reminiscent of the Clark Gable Cary Grant sword. So even though he's really unlikable, he's still beyond interesting and beyond cool. So it's a pretty. So yeah, it's easy to not like him, but at the same time, it's. But at the same time, one thing that I do love about this film is its general filming. There's lots of long takes, but the way that the camera's positioned and the lighting, it's simple but highly effective. That's just one more thing that I love about In the Company of Men. So yeah, it's a very obscure film, very shocking, but I can't recommend In the Company of Men any more than I already have. It is literally the perfect and shocking film for you. See, have a good day.